So, there has been quite a bit of conflict with the up-and-coming Switch 2. Some people say it's a terrible product coming from a creatively bankrupt and greedy company, and others see it as the next exciting generational leap for Nintendo consoles, allowing Nintendo to not only make bigger and grander games, but to have massive games like Elden Ring finally available on their consoles. And it's rough out here, man. Look, as a Nintendo fan, I'm hella excited for this thing. I stood outside a GameStop to ensure I got a pre-order. I cannot wait to get my hands on the Switch 2. But, dang man, some of the criticism, valid or invalid, has tainted a lot of my excitement. So, I figured it'd be kinda nice to examine the things that have been controversial in one fairly brief video, just to kind of get an encompassing view on what's to come with the next console from one of gaming's biggest companies. See if the bad really outweighs the good or not, and also sort out my own thoughts on the matter. If you clicked on this vid, thanks for coming and listening to my little discussion, and hey, if you disagree with anything I said, sound off in the comments. I think it's really good to talk about this stuff in an environment that hopefully won't inspire indignant ire from both parties. This video will be broken down into sections where I talk about specific things for the first half, and then the second half will be a more generalized blurb. Alright, let's start with something not really intrinsically tied to Nintendo themselves. It's more of an opinion, but I still want to say something nonetheless. Will the Switch 2 be another Wii U situation? No. Okay, but seriously though, I understand that people on the side against the Switch 2 want the thing to at least struggle a bit to make Nintendo reflect on some of the greedy decisions they've made, but this is not going to be another Wii U situation. People have said that Nintendo has quote-unquote lost innovation, and that's what's going to make this thing fail, but I really disagree. The thing is, why completely change such a good idea? The Nintendo consoles that have done pretty poorly in the past were the ones driven by a quote-unquote gimmick. The Switch is just really solid. A main console that's also portable? That's just a good idea. It's really appealing. So, the same appealing idea, but with more power, as well as a bunch of new bells and whistles, people who love the Switch are naturally just gonna be interested. Not to mention the Switch has a massive fan base, so the thing's gonna do well. And again, if you need more proof, if you were like me and tried to get a pre-order of this thing, you will know that they sold out fast. And if you're trying to say that it was scalpers or just YouTubers trying to buy all that, I'm one of those people who waited outside of a GameStop and there was a long line of real people. So, yeah, a lot of actual fans are interested in this thing. But I don't blame you for wanting the thing to struggle a little bit. I kinda do too, just to shake Nintendo's confidence a wee bit, but unfortunately, I don't really see that happening, so sorry, the thing's gonna do well. I don't really think there's a reasonable way to deny that. Is the console too expensive? This is definitely a contentious one. $450 is a good bit more than people were expecting for the thing, me included, but overall, I do think it's a fair price. The thing seemingly is about as powerful as a PS4 Pro, which I have seen a lot of people raising a stink about, like, oh, it's still so far behind, what a weak piece of tech. It is portable. It's a portable console. The fact that something this powerful is able to be portable is insane. Not to mention most modern games don't really need a machine as powerful as the PS5. Very few games, even modern ones, are that intensive because it's expensive. So, I think the power of this thing, given that it can be picked up and taken literally anywhere with no hassle, is really impressive. Not to mention the absurd amount of third-party support this thing is getting. Like, it's getting an exclusive FromSoft game? I still haven't really let that settle in. An exclusive FromSoft game. What the fuck? Not to mention it'll have specific teams porting games, so I think a lot of them are going to run a lot smoother than people are expecting. It's a bit cheaper than competitors' pricing too, so I think it's a decent price. Overall, I will not lie, $400 is a better price in my mind. I think that's just more consumer friendly, but $450 is fair as well in my eyes. So I don't blame some people for being turned off by $450. It's quite the sum of cash, but overall, I do think it's worth it. Mario Kart is how much? Okay, now we get to the stuff that is really debated. Is Mario Kart World worth $80? Personally, from everything that we've seen, no. I don't think so. It's going to be a great game for sure, but I do not think $80 is a fair price. Open world is cool, the tracks look superbly designed, there's some neat gimmicks, a ton of great characters, but overall, this game does not scream $80 to me. Hell, I think the max should be $70 at most, and even then, man, ugh. Honestly, I think if Mario Kart World was $70, or hell, even $60, there would be way less contention for the Switch 2 as a whole. That $80 price tag for the base edition of a single game is a huge pill to swallow. The game looks amazing from what we've seen, but not $80 amazing. And I can't lie to y'all, I too am a little scared of what kind of message this is sending to game companies. I do not want the new norm to be $80 damn dollars. My only hope is that this is going to be the only game that's $80. Maybe Nintendo was like, hey, it's the launch title, it's the biggest in the franchise by far, it'll probably last the whole generation. Let's upcharge it. I'm really hoping that's the case. Please, God. Either that, or they're hoping to release a bunch of free DLC for this game to really justify that price. God, this game better not have paid DLC. Let's just all pray to Shigeru, I guess. So, overall, Mario Kart World being $80, I agree, is straight up just a greedy move. I don't think there's much justifying that. Game keycards. Okay, here's another one that a lot of people really hate. Game keycards. And I can't lie, I'm not a fan either, even if it makes a little sense. In my personal life, I'm not a huge guy on preservation of games. I own a lot of digital stuff, but I do think that game preservation is really important as a whole. So having the whole thing on a card is a good thing in my eyes. But given how big some of these games are and how little some of those cards can hold, it's not entirely a nonsensical move. Hey, at least they're willing to tell us they're doing that. I appreciate the honesty. But yeah, it does kind of suck. I know it's a lot more expensive to manufacture a card that's able to carry a game as big as, like, say, Cyberpunk, but I mean, Nintendo is a giant company, so it makes sense that they would want to save a little money on this. I don't really see this as greed. Kinda, I guess, but it's not a decision I like too much. Accessories. Yeah, they are just straight up way too expensive. I mean, $95 for the Joy-Con 2s? With tax that's gonna be in the hundreds! Hell no! I'm sticking with my Tears of the Kingdom Pro controller, and that's that! Obviously, the tariffs had an effect on these prices, and I do believe the base edition of a lot of these prices were inflated initially just to try and get a jump on the tariffs. And then there were a lot more than Nintendo was expecting, so they had to jump up the price a little bit more. You know, I'm curious what they would be without the tariffs, but unfortunately, we live in the timeline where they happen, so these are the prices we're stuck with. At the very least, they kept the prices of the main stuff the same, the games and the console. The accessories are optional for the most part. You don't need them. If a price markup was necessary, I think the accessories were a good choice to receive it. Most consumers won't need them, so it won't be too harshly affected. So that's nice. Still sucks that a simple piece of plastic can run for this much, though. Holy shit. Alrighty, now with some of the general thoughts out of the way, overall, will the Switch 2 be a good or bad thing? Yes and no. Okay, is this thing going to destroy the gaming industry like I asked in the title? I seriously doubt that. Look, I don't know much about the intricacies of the gaming industry right now, but I feel like a console would bolster it, if anything. The Switch 2 is gonna do really well. That's obvious. Not to mention, some pretty great games are gonna come out of this thing. But could it do some damage with its success? Sure. And I really hope some of this stuff doesn't become standard, like, hey. But I was really clickbaiting with that title. The Switch's success could make some other companies see that they can charge a lot more for games and stuff like that, but I guess we'll just have to see. Honestly, to me, the $80 for Mario Kart is the biggest turnoff. Other than that, I'm still pretty excited. And, okay, I don't feel this is the main reason, but I do feel that a lot of what people have been saying about the Switch 2 is residual Nintendo hate that's been there for years. Not saying that's invalid, though. Like, I'm a Nintendo fan, and even I can admit, they are some real assholes sometimes. But even with that in mind, the main reason I stick with Nintendo to this day is just that they make good games. Games I like. Breath of the Wild is still one of my favorite games of all time. The memories I have made with Mario Odyssey are going to stick with me forever. And I thank God that Metroid Dread was as good as it was, because it drew me into what is one of my favorite video game franchises of all time now. Seriously, if you have not played a Metroid game, please, for the love of God, they are amazing. I beg you. Nintendo is not sinless in this department, though, I'll admit that. They make some bad games occasionally, like mainly their sports titles and a few of the more recent Mario parties. My only hope with this new pricing system is that they're willing to bring down the prices of some of their games that they put less effort into. Like, you're telling me a re-release of Donkey Kong Country Returns that's just HD, a 15-year-old game that they didn't change much at all upon release, is the same price as Echoes of Wisdom. Like, they do shit that pisses me off too. I won't lie. What is this? Come on! But when they do stuff like this, it's infrequent enough where I just don't buy it. Because the main games that they put all of their effort into, the reason that I'm here, have stayed as some of my favorites of all time. And I know I'm gonna have a lot of fun on the Switch too. So I see that as worth supporting. And overall, they're a lot more consistent than some of the other game companies out there. And they're greedy, yes, but that greed is helping employ really talented and creative people that want to make the best games that they can. Nintendo cares about their games. Like, they allegedly delayed Tears of the Kingdom for a year just so the devs could polish it. That is unheard of for most other video game companies. But Nintendo wants their games to be good. Again, for the most part. Not to mention their indie support. I love how Nintendo is willing to not only publish smaller indie games, but they occasionally have an entire presentation directed to their indie titles. I love that. Yeah, they're not the only ones that do it, but they still do it, and I really admire it. Personally, the fun I get out of the games that are published on Nintendo consoles outweighs a lot of the downsides that I've talked about today. But I really urge you personally to evaluate how you feel about the company, as they really can suck. Think about it critically, and if you don't want to support Nintendo this next console generation, you do it, man. So, altogether, if you are excited for Switch 2, it's okay to lean into that. It's a game system, and it's going to have some really cool stuff on it. I'm still excited despite a lot of the crap. And if you are vehemently against the Nintendo Switch 2, I get it. Trust me, I really do. And I don't blame you for drawing the line. Nintendo is a crappy company in a lot of ways, but considering how we've caught other companies acting in the past, yeah, I don't feel too terrible about sticking with them. Overall, I do think both sides are valid. If you hate the Switch 2, fair, lean into it. Keep clowning on it all you want, man. I love that for you. If you're excited, like me, fair. Ignore the hate. Just acknowledge that you're going to have a really fun time in about a month. Lord knows we need something to look forward to in today's day and age. And if you're one of those people who wants a Switch 2 and can't afford it, I'm sorry. Hey, here's to hoping that there might be a price drop. I don't think there will be, but hey, who knows? Or maybe you could buy one secondhand in a few years for way cheaper. Hey, hang in there, and I'm sorry life has been pretty rough for you right now. It'll be alright, just keep pushing forward. And here's to what's sure to be a cool console from some admittedly greedy assholes. Hope we can all have some fun. Oh, second video, yeah! Hi, it's me, host video. I hope you enjoyed. This one was kind of fun to make. I threw it together fairly quickly. No idea how the editing is going to be. I doubt I'll lean too heavily into this one, but yeah, I'm having fun with this whole little video essay channel. This is definitely very encouraging to me. I'm very motivated to keep working on these videos. It's very fun. So, if you enjoy my content, there's a little button down there. You can help me out a little bit. Just a little, you know what I mean? Up to you. If you don't like me, if you think I'm stupid, leave. You're at the end of the video, so I'd be surprised if you think I'm stupid. But anyway, I hope you all have a good day. I love you platonically because I don't actually know any of you, unless someone I know is watching this. In which case, hi. I need to shut the hell up.